It's November 6th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today and the Treasury Titans. And whether you like it or not, this is a big day for MSTR, for Michael Saylor, for strategy, for all MSTR shareholders. It's time to celebrate. Nothing in this video is financial advice, but let's dive in. As Michael Saylor says, upgrade the world. That is what we're doing with Bitcoin. That is what we're doing with strategy. Upgrading the world. How is strategy doing it, you ask? Well, how about taking $300 trillion of dirty fiat and siphoning it into the purest form of capital, which of course is Bitcoin. And we have some exciting announcements around that. Starting with Michael Saylor, who says Stretch closed today at an all-time high of $100.01 with 1 million shares traded. This is a seminal moment. This is a moment that all MSTR shareholders will remember 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If we're lucky enough to be alive 20, 30, 40 years from now, we will be telling our kids and our kids' kids and our kids' kids' kids, we were here when Stretch closed above 100, because that is the moment that Michael Saylor is now able to ATM his face-off of STRC, zero dilution to MSTR shareholders, but adding Bitcoin to the bottom line, increasing MSTR shareholders' Bitcoin per share at a completely zero dilution rate. I mean, this is amazing. I think this cannot be overstated how awesome it is. It took a couple of months to get here, but the patience happened. The strategy was followed. We are here now. I'm looking forward to seeing how the next couple of months kind of flatten out. There's going to be some seesawing going on as the market really starts to digest this and figure this out even more. But this is exactly the iPhone moment that Michael Saylor was talking about. We have arrived. And here is Zinks saying, this is the iPhone moment for strategy. More than $1 trillion is going to pour into Stretch over the next 10 years. All that capital is going to be used to buy Bitcoin. How lucky we are, or how lucky are we to witness the birth of Bitcoin credits? We've got front row seats. Congrats, friends. And I'm saying congratulations to everybody that is watching this right now, that is listening to this right now. Congratulations. All right, moving over to Ash Crypto. Bitcoin just retested its weekly RSI support. Last 3 times it happened, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. Here we go. RSI. Boom. RSI support. Boom. RSI support. Boom. RSI support. Time will tell. Time will tell. Chris says, it is absolutely wild to me that the U.S. is printing money out of thin air and debasing the dollar by 8% a year, and yet 99% of people have literally zero idea it's happening. Zero idea. It is crazy to think. Zink says, this is a fantastic post. It shows how strongly correlated MNAV compression has been across the board for the best Bitcoin treasuries, strategy, Metaplanet, Capital B, and Smarter Web. If you're holding any of these companies, I think it is reassuring as it shows the trend is that word, as opposed to the mismanagement of said companies. Incredibly bullish on all 4. And as you can see, the MNAV, it's just been bleeding out for all of them. And everything we do is a cycle. Everything we do is a cycle. What goes up must come down. What goes down will go up. Now, the also reality is for strategy shareholders, for MSTR shareholders, guess what? The stretch moment has arrived. So one NAV doesn't matter. We're still becoming a better, more valuable company every single day. Chris says, if you haven't been shaken up by the recent volatility, you're going to be rewarded extremely well over the next 3 to 6 months. And I got to say, I have not been shaken out one bit. I've actually been buying aggressively. I have dollar cost averaged my face off into Metaplanet. I'm now down to $4 per share, which, yes, means I'm down on Metaplanet for sure. But I had my first purchase at $9 per share. So think about how hard I had to work to get my average cost down to $4 per share. And I can't wait for the next 3 to 6 months. Zink says, every dip in Bitcoin is just a rotation of coins from weak hands to strong hands. Every day, the percentage of Bitcoin that is transferred to those who are never selling increases, and thus the floor in price increases incrementally. Bitcoin going to 1 million is inevitable. Patience. Just have patience. Chris says, there's only one other company that Michael Saylor has consistently gone out of his way to speak highly and openly acknowledge will be far tougher to compete with within its own jurisdiction. That company is Metaplanet. That tells you everything you need to know. I will say that is the one major reason why Metaplanet is by far number 2 on my list of stocks that I own. because I do think strategy is going to go into every single country, every single continent, every single place in the world, and going to offer irresistible offers, just like they did with Stream in Europe and the so it's just going to happen. It's going to happen, period, end of story. Metaplanet, though, they are already just way down the path. They are doing great things, and I am excited to be a part of that team as well. Bitcoin says Bitcoin daily RSI hits the most oversold since April. Last time it rallied 70% from 74,000 to 126. So an RSI was incredibly oversold back in April. We remember those days. Wasn't too long ago. What happened? Went from 74 to 126. What's going to happen here? Time will tell. Ash says crypto fear and greed index has reached its lowest level since April 2025 crash. By the way, I love when the fear and greed is well, I should say I love when the fear is so low, meaning that it's down to a 20. I love that. Because when the greed's high, then it's just like, oh man, everybody and their mother and their Uber driver and their barber thinks they know exactly what's going to happen. They're pouring money in. Like, when's the correction happening? Like you can look at all these in this chart right here. What happens when greed gets over 80? It doesn't stay there for long. It drops pretty quickly for obvious reasons. But man, you can also see what happens when it gets down to these levels. It doesn't stay here for long. What happens? Violent corrections. Hugh says MSTR is the most misunderstood stonk in the history of the stonk market. And then Floor Speed says they have stonking reviews. And we're just going to leave it there. I have a great continuation of Michael Saylor's interview on Schwab, so stick around for that. See you tomorrow. Fire Nation, when you want more for your business, more privacy, more guidance, more success, it all starts with Northwest Registered Agents. These legends have been helping entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses for nearly 30 years. They're the largest registered agent and LLC service in the U.S. with over 1,500 corporate guides, real people who know your state's laws and actually care about helping you win. With Northwest, you can build your complete business identity, everything from what your customers see to what they don't, operating agreements, meeting minutes, compliance paperwork, and more. You'll get thousands of free resources, lawyer drafted forms, and step-by-step guides all in one place, and you don't even need to create an account to access them. Best part, privacy is automatic. Northwest never sells your data and handles everything in-house. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and get your complete business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Visit www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free. Okay, check this out. Senator Cynthia Lummis recently announced that funding for a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve can start anytime. This is a massive step forward for a strategic crypto stockpile, and no surprise, was soon followed by a new all-time high for Bitcoin. If you're looking to buy more Bitcoin, Bit IRA can help. In fact, Bit IRA will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into Bitcoin. This also allows you to buy Bitcoin using pre-tax funds, and then continue to invest in it over time as you do any other retirement accounts. And if you want, you can even add XRP, Ethereum, or other cryptos. Bit IRA protects your assets with end-to-end insurance, highly secured storage, multi-encryption, and registered with the US government. Your IRA is fully IRS compliant. Best of all, you can trade crypto within your retirement account without incurring taxes on any buys or sells. Just go to bitira.com/JLD and request a free info guide. Once you do that and open up your IRA, you'll get a free ledger. Think about this. In March, President Trump signed an executive order for the Treasury to manage 200,000 Bitcoin as the foundation for a reserve. That's just the foundation. Go to bitira.com/JLD to open a tax-sheltered IRA in Bitcoin.
We're paying 10 and we're getting back 20 or 30, right? So it makes sense for us. And then, there are other flavors, like we created this product, Stretch, STRC, which is a treasury credit instrument. The idea of that is it's just a high yield bank account. Like we'll give you a bank account or we'll give you a money market type instrument that pays 10% yield. And the idea is for it to be a 1 month duration. So we strip all the volatility away. We target $100 par value. you take cash that you don't need for 6 months, but you want to earn 10% instead of earning 4%, and you buy that instrument. Now, you don't want the upside of Bitcoin. You don't want to buy, a lot of people don't want a 20-year bond. What they want is they want a money market, right? And so you don't want infinite interest rate duration. You don't want delta. You don't want volatility. Just give me pure yield. That's probably the most refined digital credit instrument. So what our company's doing is we have a lot of capital. We have about $70 to $75 billion worth of Bitcoin on any given day. We sell those credit instruments, and we have about $6 billion of those credit instruments outstanding. They're so way over collateralized. Then we generate various types of dividend streams or upside with them. As it turns out, we expect Bitcoin to appreciate 30% a year, but we don't pay more than 10% to 12% dividend streams. So our common stock shareholders get the excess. So what happens is we take that volatility and performance of Bitcoin and we strip the volatility, the risk, and the performance off, and we sell you 10%, 12%, 8% as a credit investor. And then the extra performance and volatility goes to the equity. So MSTR, which is our common stock, is more volatile, higher performance than Bitcoin. And what you have is some people want more Bitcoin performance and they want to be on a roller coaster and they buy the common stock. And some people want less and they just want the pure dividend stream. And of course, the people that just love Bitcoin and they don't want any counterparty risk, they don't want to own a security, they just buy the commodity Bitcoin. And so that's how we sit in this ecosystem.
Right. So it's almost like a levered bet. I mean, it's a way to be exposed to Bitcoin without having to actually buy the actual commodity itself. There is so much to unpack there, Michael. I mean, you just talked about, how much Bitcoin you have, $75 billion. Just talk to us about how much that actually represents and what's your end game here.
Well, we own about 640,000 Bitcoin, and that's about 3.1% of the network. 3.1% of all the Bitcoin that will ever exist, we have acquired. Most of that we've acquired with equity capital, about $50 billion plus of common equity, about $6 billion worth of preferred equity. And so the company is substantially equity, and our primary business line is to issue this credit instrument, and every year we sell a bit more equity and we sell a bit more preferred equity and we buy more Bitcoin. So like this week we bought like 390 Bitcoin. Every week we'll acquire a bit more and we just continue to grind up. And as we do that, Bitcoin becomes more scarce. And because we're buying so much of it, that means the price over time has to appreciate because all the natural sellers get taken out of the market and no one wants to sell unless you raise the price for it.
What's the second best? There is no second best.